So today at the Shards studio, we're going to talk about framing your pieces. And what we're going to start with is zinc. Zinc comes in all different sizes. Today what we're going to use is 1/4 inch zinc. When they call it 1/4 inch, they're referring to the face of the zinc. That's what you're going to be seeing around your piece. But it comes in all different sizes from 1/8 inch up to 1 inch in 30-second increments. Most people use 1/4, 3/8, and 1/2 inch. So as I said, we're going to start with 1/4, and when you're framing your piece, this is only for free hanging. If you're going to be putting it in a wood frame, you don't have to bother with this. But this is if you're going to be displaying your piece free hanging, okay? These come in 6-foot lengths, and the very first thing you're going to do is you're going to cut your zinc into approximate lengths. When I say approximate, I'm saying give yourself an extra 2 inches because we're going to be mitering the corners, so you need a little bit extra room to do that. All right, so I've already mitered one side of this, and then we're going to miter the other side, and I'm going to show you how to snap it onto the glass and then how to determine where to do your miter. To make a miter, I just have a simple miter box. It has a 45-degree, it's got several angles, but the one we're going to use today is a 45. So we're going to use a 45 and a 45 to create our 90. First thing you do is just put it into the miter box so that the open side of the zinc is facing the front of the box. If you think about it, that's the part that's going to be snapping onto the glass, so you can kind of dry run it for yourself to think about it, and snap on, snap on. Those are where your first miters are going to be. So every piece that you have that you've pre-cut, just take it and cut one miter first. It's a metal hacksaw blade. It's just one of the finest hacksaw blades that you can get. And when you're sawing, you don't want to kill it. You just want to kind of saw lightly. If you find that you're getting stuck, lighten up your saw. That's it. If you find that you're still getting stuck, you know, that it's just not going smoothly, another thing you can do is you can take some WD-40, put it on a rag, and just gently go over the edge of your saw blade. The oil will make everything just go a little bit nicer. Okay, so once you have your first cuts done, this is just 2 boards that are set up with a square so that I'm sure that it's square. I'm going to put my 2 pieces of zinc with the 45-degree angles cut on one side in the corner. I'm going to push them together and make sure that they fit nicely. Sometimes when you're cutting with a hacksaw, you can get like a little tiny thing left on here. There's nothing wrong with just taking a file and just going over it lightly to get everything nice and smooth. When you're framing out a piece, the best thing to do is to actually only flat solder the end where you're going to be putting the zinc, snapping the zinc on. Any size zinc is going to snap on about 1/8 of an inch. So stop soldering and or just flat solder in the last 1/4 of an inch away from the edge. What that facilitates is that you won't have trouble getting the zinc to snap onto the edge. There's no extra girth from the solder. So that's the first thing we're going to do. We're going to put it into the zinc channel. We're going to make sure that it's in there tight and secure. And then we're going to take a little sacrifice piece like this, snap it onto the edge, hold it tight, and then mark with the marker where they connect with each other, okay? Right at that cross section. Then give yourself a little indicator so that you know, just an extra little indicator so that you know that's the way you're going to be cutting your miter, and you're going to be starting right here where they intersect. The other thing that I tend to do is I tend to number them, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. That's because if my sides aren't all perfectly the same size, maybe they might be a 1/16 different, I know exactly how I fit it and how I got it on here. So that'll be the first one that I'm going to cut. The next one I'm going to cut is this one here, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put this piece of zinc on. I'm going to mark where they intersect with each other, and then I'm going to indicate with a little line the direction, just so that I remember. Okay? We'll take these to the miter box. This one's number 2, so that's the bottom. I'm going to put it in the miter box. I'm going to line up my little indicator line with my hacksaw. That's going to be the bottom one. This is going to be the top. Now I'm not going to be using this side because this one has to go in that direction. Remember, the short side of the miter is always to the open channel. The long side is always to the closed part of the channel. I line it up. And again, remember, you're not trying to kill it when you saw. It's a fine blade, but it goes pretty fast. All right, so that's my number 1. That's my number 2. I'm going to slide it back in. I'm going to take my number 3 and snap that on. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to snap on this little sacrifice piece where they intersect. I'm going to make a mark and indicate for me, so that I don't lose my mind, which way that's going. And that guy's going to be, this is going to be 3, this one's going to be 4. So we'll do that. And then this one, same thing. I'm going to snap it on. I'm going to use my sacrifice piece. I'm going to mark where they intersect. Sorry if my hand's in the way. And then I'm going to indicate which way I'm going to be cutting that. And that's going to be number 3. When you label them, you also know which is going to be the top, so that helps. Okay, I'm going to put this back in my miter box. Make sure I got that lined up with my mark. I'm going to put number 4 in my miter box. Okay, that looks good. Tighten that up. Snap that back onto the edge, and we should get a nice tight fit. If we don't, we do it again. Or, you know, you accept it for what it is. All right, I'm using horseshoe nails, flat side against the edge, just so that we're sure that it's staying on there tight. Okay, now we're ready to solder. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to solder the zinc onto the piece. When you're soldering anything like zinc or lead, you're going to use a paste flux, not a liquid flux. 2 reasons. Paste flux is not nearly as corrosive as liquid flux. And the other thing about the paste flux is that it tends to stay put. So we're only fluxing the area, the corners, and then any opportunity we have to attach these seams, we're going to flux there. So any place where you have the copper foil coming up to the zinc, that's an opportunity to solder and get the zinc to stay on your piece. We're also using 60-40 instead of the ultimate, which is 63% tin. This melts a little bit slower and it's a little bit more like the zinc and the lead. So the soldering iron, the zinc can melt down, but boy, you have to have a lot of heat to get it to melt down. So you don't have to be nearly as cautious with zinc as you do with lead cane. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to solder the corners. I'm not going to worry too much if they're perfect. I'm just starting from the inside and working my way out. Notice that when I'm holding the iron, I'm holding it at a high angle, and the way that I'm going to attack this, sorry, let me get myself organized here, is I'm going to put the solder to the front of the iron, like that, bring it up, kiss that, and then back it off. So watch the motion. Bring it up, kiss that, and bring it back. That didn't attach. There you go. That's it. What that does is it gives you a small attachment but a firm attachment. The corner, again, I'm just going to hold it at a high angle and I'm going to work out to the outer seam. Done. Same thing here. I know you can't see me doing it on this side, but it's the same motion. Just bring it up, kiss the edge, done. So all the way around, it's the same thing. You'll notice that this piece, this is an old piece, so it's already been patinaed, the center, but these attachments, I made sure that they were steel wooled down so the patina was all removed so that I could get it to attach nicely. And the other thing that I did is I made sure that the seams, again, I mentioned this before, but I made sure that the seams were, any seams that were going out to attach to the zinc were flat. That's really important because you want to be able to get the zinc to pop right onto the edge by the 1/8 of an inch. Kiss it and back. I'm going to get that one a little bit more solder in there. Same thing here. Kiss it and move back. And that's it. So then what you do is just take out your holding nails, flip it over, and do the exact same thing to the other side.